Welcome back to the contentious gun debate happening in Washington. The White House announcing President Trump declared his support for Second Amendment gun rights during a meeting with the NRA late last week. The news following a meeting with lawmakers where he expressed support for gun control measures opposed by the NRA. Let's bring in right now Fox News contributor, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, good to see you. Always a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Great to be with you this morning.
What do you think the president wants to do here in terms of Second Amendment rights and any changes around gun control? Will we see it?
Well, I think the big question is, when we talk about gun control, exactly what are we talking about? Are we talking about making it so that law-abiding, legal citizens who own firearms, who have never committed a crime, who have really no inclination to commit a crime, no recollection to commit a crime, are we going to restrict them, or are we going after the people that we need to be worried about? The people who have mental illness, the people who have made threats. If we're not taking care of the laws we have, I guess a lot of people are asking, why would a new law suddenly matter when the old laws that aren't being followed haven't yet changed the course of human behavior?
So it sounds like you think the president is more interested in making sure the laws that are on the books are followed. Obviously, we saw lots of failures on the part of the FBI and the local police in the Nicholas Cruz Parkland shooting. But you think that he wants to see change in terms of mental health, in terms of background checks, and perhaps in age.
And I think that's reasonable, and I think a lot of people support the notion that, first of all, you mentioned it a moment ago, 40 different visits to this person's home. And if that wasn't a red flag, that was 1,000 red flags.
Right.
The FBI had this guy, his Facebook post, saying, I want to be a school shooter. And they said, well, we couldn't find him, even though his name was on the post. I mean, those are the things that we ought to be asking. How did that happen? What I think the president is looking for is a way to mitigate what has happened in our culture, which is violence. And by the way, it needs to include a broader discussion of what is it that's conditioning kids to do these murders. Maria, I grew up in a time when we had lots of guns at my school, lots of guns. They were in the back window of pickup trucks in almost every student's vehicle. Nobody murdered anybody at school. We never thought about it. But so what's happened? Well, one thing that's happened is kids are exposed to tens of thousands of violent acts using these very weapons that everybody says we want to get rid of. Well, let me ask this. Tell me what would happen in Hollywood if you said you can never show an AR-15, an M16, a fully automatic or a semi-automatic, either one, on screen again. You cannot show them on screen, ever. You can't show people getting shot and killed. Got to stop all that. They can throw paper wads at each other, but no more shooting on screen. Would Hollywood accept that? Would they accept a restriction of their First Amendment rights? No, they would go crazy. So when people say, well, the NRA nuts, I hate hearing that, because no NRA member has ever been a mass shooter. And I think there's a resentment among those of us, including me, who say, we're not murderers. You know, we want to defend ourselves, but we're not murderers.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also a lot of misinformation in terms of what an AR-15 is. I mean, the types of guns that are legal and not legal right now. There's a fair amount of misinformation. And because one gun looks scary, people think that it is military style.
Yeah. Well, and that's a real problem, because an AR-15 is really a matter of function. It has nothing to do with its lethality. The gun that I used to shoot with deer and other wildlife, whether it be 300 mag, is way more powerful than the AR-15. They're just a misinformation, and people call it an assault weapon.
Yeah.
Maria, if I take a pencil and stick it in your neck, that's an assault weapon.
That's a good point. Governor, it's good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Mike Huckabee joining us there.